again, everybody. One of the most intriguing and evocative movies of the year is about to open in theaters this month. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is the eagerly anticipated film version of the John le Carré's best-selling novel. The movie's stellar cast includes Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, and John Hurt, and is full of complex twists and turns that keep you glued to the screen. We are so thrilled to have one of my favorite actors here today to tell us more. Please welcome the wonderfully talented Gary Oldman. Thank you very much.
I found that backstage.
Happy holidays.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
I'm so glad that you're fun, and you were so nice backstage, because I saw Bram Stoker's Dracula and you scared me to death. I was terrified for years.
No, some people think, I'm not sure, like, you know, who they're going to meet. A version of Dracula or Lee Harvey Oswald, or, you know. But I love
Sid Vicious.
Oh, Sid Vicious. Yeah.
Right. But he turns out to just be this nice English actor, which is pretty cool. So I screened the new movie, and you're wonderful in it.
Thank you.
We see you think. You don't even speak for the first several minutes of the movie, right?
I think it's the first 18 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, that I don't...
I noticed it was a long time, but I didn't realize it was that long. So what is it like to be in a story where everything is so interior, the sense of mistrust, the sense of almost paranoia that goes on? Happily, things are not exploding every 2 minutes like a lot of movies.
No, it's a very, in that sense, it sort of harkens back to really the 70s. I mean, the movie's set in 73, but it could have been shot. It could have been shot in 73. It
was so convincing in terms of the era. And I thought it must have been a pleasure. I'm not an actor, so you tell me if I'm wrong, but a pleasure to be in something that was really about the characters and the small things, the small moments that
well, we have also, you know, we're very lucky because we have this great source material, and we have this book that is really your it's your ground zero.
Right.
So when you go in, well, for instance, you know, I don't speak for that first part of the film, but you never feel like you're at sea because you've absorbed the book, and that is what you carry with you. That's the subtext that you're playing. I liked having to pay attention. You know, to really pay attention to the characters and to learn the vernacular and bring all this along. This is obviously a movie that was made into a miniseries back at the end of the 70s with Alec Guinness playing George Smiley, your character. They had 6 hours, I believe, to tell the story. You've got a little more than 2 hours to tell this story. Was there a difficulty in accordioning the material and getting everything in there? Because I didn't feel like you missed anything. No, I don't. And you don't feel, really, that you're cramming a lot into 2 hours, but you don't ever feel that the movie is rushing along. I mean, there was some sort of structural gymnastics that they had to do because the book rather starts, it begins at the school with Predo and the boy. And then we meet Ricky Tarr, and then for a whole chapter, it goes to the Ricky Tarr story. Right. And they felt that you couldn't introduce the character of George Smiley and then leave him for 20 minutes. So there was, you know, they had to kind of move and reorganize.
To make that work.
Yeah, to kind of make it work.
We have a clip I wanted to show everybody. George Smiley is obviously a member of the highest part of the intelligence service in Britain, and this clip is our wonderful Gary Oldman with this Mount Rushmore of British actors. I mean, what a great cast.
We emptied the National Theatre, I think, for this one.
I think you did. And they're all sort of talking about whether or not a certain program is worthwhile, what the super secrets are all about, and whether there's a mole in the intelligence service. So let's take a look.
Did you get this? I didn't. Percy and his little cabal walked in with it.
Look, control.
Shut up.
Style appalling. Patently a fabrication from beginning to end. Just could be the real thing.
Well, if it's genuine, it's gold dust. But its topicality makes it suspect. Smiley is suspicious, Percy. Where did it come from? What's the access?
A new secret source of mine.
But how could he possibly have access?
He has access to the most sensitive levels of policy making. We've named the operation Witchcraft.
Well, Percy and his pals bypassed our Smiley, gone straight to the minister. Percy has been allowed to keep the identity of his new friend top secret.
I love it. You don't know who to trust or what's going on while you're watching this thing. I read that you wanted to play this part for some time. Is that true?
That is not true.
That is not
and
true.
And you may have. Is that from one of those websites that
you
get
know,
all
you
their
read
information
stuff
wrong?
on the internet, but you
Right.
don't know if it's true or not, and hence I ask you.
Right. It was really just something that came in. I mean, one is as an actor, you don't get offered. You don't get offered every role, and things tend to just come in across the desk.
Did you know right away, I want to do this?
I knew right away that I wanted to do it because it was it's an iconic part,
Right.
you know, and I knew of the work and I knew the books and the series and I knew who George Smiley was when it came in. But I'm walking in the shadow of the ghost of Alec Guinness,
Right.
who, you know, he had made it so iconic. And he was such a sort of beloved actor and a member of the establishment and a knighted actor. And he was the face and considered by many to be the definitive performance of Smiley. So
Well,
that was, I sat on it for
scary.
about a month.
That's
yeah.
a little scary.
It was scary. Absolutely. I was terrified to.
Honestly, you're wonderful, and you have
Thank you.
just a slight bit more edge to it that I think modernizes the character and gives it maybe just a little more dimension. But, you know, as I said, you're so thoughtful in the movie. Let's talk for a second about Batman, another series that I love.
I can't talk about Batman.
Well, I'm so glad you're not dead and you're in this next movie.
Yeah.
Are those fun to make? They look like they'd be a lot of fun.
They're great. They're great. I mean, you can imagine. And we've been working now, I guess it might be, 8 years, 7 years since the first one. And so...
I don't want it to end.
Yeah, you come back and you come back and a lot of the same people are there, a lot of the crew, it's the same crew. It's like kind of reuniting with a family. It's the last one.
I know. And we're done with Harry Potter. What am I going to do when this is...
You know what are Warner Brothers going to do?
So Sirius Black, how is that? I saw this thing, let me just say this real quick, I never know what these magazines are called. You did really write this, right, in Entertainment Weekly?
I haven't seen that. Is it? Oh, I haven't seen this yet.
You may have it if you'd like.
Daniel Radcliffe by Gary Oldman.
By Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman writes a little intro to some information about Daniel Radcliffe, who played, of course, Harry Potter. And you talk about, very generously, about his future and the things that he's doing. And I wondered, do movies like that give you a little bit of a role of mentoring and bringing along some of these younger actors?
Yes, I mean, certainly for Dan, you're not consciously aware of it. I mean, I wouldn't be presumptuous to take a young actor aside and sit him down and say, no, listen, son, this is what you sort of do.
But I'm sure they have their eyes on you at all times.
But I think you can mentor by the power of example. I think that you can be prepared, you can do your homework. You come ready.
Right.
You come with a ready to work, with a commitment, and you're on time. Be early. That's what I would say to a young actor. And Christopher Plummer's, the wonderful Christopher Plummer, his advice was he said, stay sober at least until the curtain call.
Okay, on that note, hey, we try to do that on this show, too. So that's something we have in common.
I've met them backstage.
Gary, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. And I don't have to be afraid of you anymore.
No, don't, please.
I love it. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy opens in theaters in Seattle on December 23rd, so we'll definitely see it over the Christmas holidays again. It's a complex and thrilling movie we highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. After the break, we're kicking off a brand new series featuring family recipes from Seattle's most celebrated chefs. John Howie returns to share a couple of recipes he most enjoyed growing up. That's coming up next.